everybody, and welcome to my October 2022 reading vlog. In October, I usually plan myself a very Halloween-themed TBR. That's usually the only month in the year that I sort of plan what I'm going to read. But this month, it kind of snuck up on me, but thankfully a lot of my books in my TBR are just going to be spooky or horror adjacent anyway, so I am starting the month right. So far, I have already started 2 books. One of them is, of course, for my 100 Epic Reads of a Lifetime poster, which you will see in an upcoming vlog. And right now, at the moment, I am reading The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. This is a YA novel about a girl in Nazi Germany who steals books, and the narrator is Death. So I thought that was a very appropriate read for this month. I am a little bit of the way into it, and so far I am enjoying it, but a lot of people have listed this as one of their favorite books of all time, and I'm just not as captured by that sentiment just yet. And the other book that I have started, I am listening to the audiobook of my best friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. It is a story about 2 best friends in the 80s, and so far, one of the friends is seemingly possessed after a drug trip. That's all I've gotten into so far, and so far it's very, the Stranger Things way of appreciating the 80s. It's very heavy-handed, it's very overwhelming. Like, every chapter is a song name. The main character was obsessed with E.T. when she was a little girl, and just every cliche from an 80s anything is in this, and I was not born in the 80s, so I don't appreciate it as much as other readers would, but I feel like this story is really riding the coattails of this huge 80s nostalgia that we're still in. I feel like we've been in 80s nostalgia for my entire life. And that's 25 years of the 80s, and I'm getting pretty sick of it. I have read a previous novel of Grady Hendrix's. I read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and I thought that book was very of its time as well. This book, I feel like he uses these older time periods or these settings to justify being able to be racist. Like, I understand that there was racism, there's always racism in every single time, but he wrote in the South in a different time period for the vampire book, and it was very, very racially charged. And in this book, it's not racially charged, but there is a lot of microaggressions and a lot of just comments, and I don't like it. I don't think that I need that in a sort of nostalgia-based book. It's just one of the hard truths that people had to face, and in books, sometimes you need to escape that. I just feel like this is not adding to the book at all. It's making it worse. And a lot of Grady Hendrix's books are just very mean. They're very, very, very negative and very mean, and I don't like being in that mindset while I'm listening, so everyone's just mean to each other. I don't like characters like that. So that is my update so far. I will let you know more into the month what I'm up to. Hopefully you'll get to see a lot of spooky things, and I plan to watch the new AMC Interview with the Vampire series, so you're definitely going to get all my discussion of that very, very soon. So stay tuned. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the new AMC Interview the Vampire show that is currently airing. The first 2 episodes are already out at the moment, and I really, really, really like it. It is one of those shows where, at the moment, I'm very, very happy with all the changes, because the Anne Rice books are always just going to be what they are. They're always going to exist. So having this new show where different things are happening, different themes are being explored, and different characters are being changed and improved upon a little bit in my eyes, I'm really, really happy so far. At first, I didn't know how to feel about the time period, but the set and production design, the costumes, the prop design, just everything is stellar. All the sets are real, and they're there, and they're touching things, and they're all practical, and it's just really, really cool, and all the costumes fit so well, and it's just really, really good. Like, they've put a lot of care into those aspects of the show, which is really nice to see. I can't even talk to you about the casting. Jacob Anderson is really showing off some just stellar acting, and I'm just really happy that he was casted because I just love the way that they have taken Louis's character with him and the decisions that he's made. Sam Reed as Lestat, he's jumped straight out of the pages. I am completely blown away by his performance. The fact that he had to stick the closest to the book out of everybody in the cast so far, and he does not disappoint. I'm absolutely adoring Lestat right now. And I haven't met Claudia yet, but the actress is just, she's the most gorgeous thing in the world, and we share the same names. That's so cute to hear. I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of every aspect of it. Like, I don't like the direction they took Daniel so far, and some of the writing is just a little bit too simple for me, but there's just so much about it that I'm really loving. I love that they've fully developed Louis' family and gave him reasons to be doing what he's doing and all the angst that he's feeling. I have cried during each episode. So in episode 1, I cried during Lestat's big speech at the end, because in the book we didn't get that speech, so we don't know why Louis made that decision. And now we do, because it was just a speech that was just so heartfelt and convincing and loving, and it's just so nice, and I hope that they continue with that sort of writing. And in episode 2, I cried because of that moment where Louis notices that Lestat still has that piece of humanity in him with connection to music. And it's just so endearing and so sweet, and the look that Louis gives Lestat, the way that they're just missing each other's looks of like emotional endearment, it's just so sweet. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series. Oh my gosh, I haven't even began to talk about how much I love this. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird, and it's so gross, and it's camp, and it's just what the tone is, just what an Anne Rice book is, because the first episode was very dramatic and very well put together, and the second episode was weird. It was weird and dark and humorous and weird, like a sitcom, which when you're reading Anne Rice, you're getting this tonal whiplash because they're saying the most poetic shit ever while shitting themselves or crying about the fact that they can't be a saint in the later books. It's just this whole thing, so it's just perfect. It's just perfectly encapsulated the energy of Anne Rice perfectly, and I can't wait for more. Yay. Okay, just a mini update today. It is super, super rainy out, super gloomy, so it's not that nice of a day out. So the 2 books that I'm currently reading right now, the first one is I am listening to the audiobook of All Together Dead by Charlaine Harris, which is the 7th book in the Sookie Stackhouse series. That is the book series that later became the HBO series True Blood. I really like these books. I've been reading them on and off for a couple of years now. They're very, very light, fun, supernatural kitchen sink monster mash style stories, and there's not a lot of stakes in them, ha ha ha. And they're just a nice, light, easy read, and I thought it'd be fun to read during the Halloween season. I am 50% of the way through it, and I am enjoying it quite a lot. And the second book that I am reading is Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsey, I believe is their name. It is a pretty short story. an Australian story set in the year 1900 about these girls who go to this very sequestered boarding school. They, I believe, end up dying at this picnic that they're currently at. I'm not that far into the book yet. I believe that's what happens. They either disappear or they die, and the rest of the book is struggling to figure out what happened. So far, the writing is just gorgeous. I have loved the writing, and I love that this book is very short, so it's just going to be a very short sort of vibe, and I do appreciate it a lot. So that's my update for now. So I just finished Altogether Dead by Charlaine Harris, and as usual for the Sookie Stackhouse series, I'm giving it 3 stars. And now I really don't know what book I'm going to pick up next. I kind of screwed myself over for October, but I read like this every month of the year, so it's not that special. Hello, we are finally at the wrap up. I know that this month I didn't really talk a lot about the books that I was reading. It was just a very, very busy month and a very spooky month filled with a lot of, Halloween celebrations. So I didn't really read that many books. So the first book that I read was for my 100 Epic Reads of a Lifetime poster. I read The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I believe I gave that one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I understand that I would have really enjoyed it if I read it as a teenager. I just find that a lot of World War II stories are very sad for the purpose of being sad. Like, I understand World War II was a very, very upsetting thing, and a lot of darkness, a lot of very, very bad suffering happened. But it just feels cheap sometimes to try and play with our emotions and who dies and whatnot. I did appreciate that Death himself told the story. I found that angle to be very incredible. It allowed for a lot of interesting narration, because I wouldn't have liked following Liesel's narration and point of view. That would have been very boring. And I found the actual picture book that the man made for Liesel was very moving. That was where I was very emotionally moved. It was very, very sweet, and I enjoyed his storyline most of all. But also, she didn't steal that many books. She found one on the ground. She found another one in a fire, and I think she took one other time. That's not a book thief. She was a thief, but I guess The Book Thief is just a better title, Next, I read My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I listened to it on audiobook, and I found out that Grady Hendrix books aren't really for me, because I read his vampire book, and it was fine, but then reading one that wasn't vampire based, I just realized that he uses a lot of really gross things in equation to horror, and I don't think that's scary. I think that tapeworms are just gross, and I didn't want to listen to that. I was gonna watch the movie adaptation with my mom, and now I don't want to because I was so disgusted by that scene. I was just horribly disgusted, and I don't want to see that visually. I just don't like that the grossest descriptions want to be the horror aspects when you can just write a very tense and spooky scene instead of it. I don't know. I don't like gross things, so his writing isn't for me. I gave that one 2. I then listened to the audiobook of Altogether Dead by Charlaine Harris, which is the 7th book in the Sookie Stackhouse series, later became the TV show True Blood. I gave that one 3 stars. It's always going to be the same thing with those books. They're very comfortable, they're very just easy mysteries, and I think they're part of the cozy mystery genre, which I like because of the supernatural aspects. I wouldn't like the book series aside from that, and I think that it's really, really good for what it is. It's a very comfortable thing to return to, especially after listening to Grady Hendrix's book where I just felt very uncomfortable. It felt very good to go to Charlaine Harris where it was just a lot of southern vampires chatting up and flirting and solving just mini mysteries. So that was a good one. I then read Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsey, and I'm giving this one 4.5 stars. I love how short it is. I love that it's very, very concise. I thought all the characters were pretty gripping. I thought the story was very, very interesting, and I'm very, very glad that the book was this short. The writing is very, very beautiful. I loved the writing. I loved getting lost in the sentences. I just thought that this book was very well written, and I'm so glad it was short, because if they tried to complete this mystery, then I feel like it wouldn't work. I love the way that it just is. This is very good. It's a very, very easy, short read, and I just loved it. And then I finished the month out by reading Vittorio the Vampire by Anne Rice, book whatever in the Vampire Chronicles, and now I am proud to say I have read all 15 books in the Vampire Chronicles series, including the 3 books from the Mayfair Witches series. Dear God, I am a completionist now. You can't tell me anything. This book means nothing. It has nothing to do with anything. It was boring. Characters were boring. I did not care about Vittorio. He only became a vampire in the last 50 pages. Boring. The only interesting thing was that the vampires kept humans in a sort of chicken coop. That's an interesting idea, but there should have been some sort of connection to this book. It even says in the first 3 pages that he's not connected to anybody in the Vampire Chronicles. Why would I want to read this? Anne, I don't want to read your extra research notes about Italy that you used to write the Vampire Armand. I don't care. Also, this is the only straight vampire. Boo! I'm giving Vittorio the Vampire 2 stars. Boo! So that's it. That was my month. That was October 2022. I feel myself reading a lot less just because I am that much closer to my Goodreads goal. I'm at 66 books out of 70, so I just don't feel like reading anymore. I don't really have the drive to do it. So I think next month will be the last time I'm reading new books, and then I think for December, since I'm very busy, I'm going to reread books. I think that'll be the best thing for me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next month. Bye bye.